What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video here inside the nerdy realm within the multiverse. We are back with another Kenobi episode review as we got the 5th episode of this series this week. So today we are going to go back through the episode and then give our thoughts on it because wow, this was such an action-packed episode and it was huge. So of course, there will be spoilers talked about in this episode, so this is your spoiler warning now if you don't wish to hear anything spoilery, of course. Feel free to come back here once you have seen the episode. Last week's episode had quite a bit of controversy around it and a lot of backlash, but I can already tell that this week's episode will get so much love and praise because it was truly a great episode. Let's go back through the episode so that we can then give our thoughts on it all. We start off this episode on Coruscant and we really see why Hayden Christensen returned, because we start off with Padawan Anakin and Obi-Wan starting to train and spar with their sabers in a flashback. This is taking place sometime before Attack of the Clones, as Anakin still has his right arm in these flashbacks. We got a continuation of this scene throughout the episode and it was so nostalgic. We also got so much Vader and Kenobi screen time in this episode compared to the others, and with all of the flashbacks that we got, this show definitely took off in this episode compared to the others. Vader and Reva meet on their Star Destroyer where she tells him that Kenobi has been tracked to the planet of Jabim, where we see Vader grant her the rank of a Grand Inquisitor, which is what Reva wanted all along, which we get an explanation on why this is later in the episode. Vader is fixated on Kenobi, as instead of wanting to break all of these refugees, he only needs Kenobi to be broken. Kenobi, obviously knowing who Vader is or was, he explains to the group that Vader won't stop and will keep on coming, and that he is there for him, and they all ask Obi-Wan how he knows all of this, as it cuts back to the training flashback, which we get a ton of in this episode. We can see in these flashback scenes that Ewan and Hayden haven't lost their touch one bit, even after all these years, and their choreography with the saber fighting is just as amazing as it was way back when Revenge of the Sith came out. And speaking of Revenge of the Sith and choreography, during these training flashback scenes, a lot of the moves that these two use against each other are almost identical, if not the exact same ones that they used against each other during their fight on Mustafar. Vader sends Reva and the troopers down to Jabim to begin their assault, where we get to see some more Purge troopers once again, as all of them use the mounted turrets to blast down the doors. As Kenobi and the rest of the group are getting ready for the Empire, Leia has to go through the vents to get the hangar door back open, as Lola shut it down earlier. Bail Organa sends Kenobi a holo message where he says he is going to Tatooine to help Owen with Luke, as he is worried that Vader found Kenobi and now knows about the children, which this holo message plays a bigger role later in the episode. As Haja is taking it to the ship, he drops it and leaves it behind for someone else to find. The message is later. The message is that Kenobi should have been a bit more careful with, and possibly deleted to further protect the children and their secret. We get more backstories and characters past in this episode explained, including Tala, where we learn she was actually a part of the Empire and was an officer for it at one point, who worked with the Inquisitors, and she couldn't do it anymore after they executed 14 people, including children. Everyone gets armed and ready at the blast doors as Kenobi walks to the door and him and Reva begin speaking to one another through the doors, where we learn everything we need to learn about Reva and her motives. We learn that indeed Reva was the youngling from the first episode, and the reason she knows Anakin is Vader is because she saw him at the temple during Order 66, face to face, where we get some dark flashbacks of Anakin killing her youngling group. She tells Obi-Wan that she had to hide among the bodies of the fallen to survive, and we learn why she has a grudge against Kenobi as well. She blames him for Anakin turning to the dark side, as she thinks that he failed him, and everything that happened to her and her family during Order 66 is because Kenobi failed to train Anakin. It's revealed that she isn't working for Vader as an Inquisitor and now the Grand Inquisitor, but she is hunting him to get revenge and kill him for what he did. Obi-Wan attempts to sway Reva to his side and possibly back to the light side so that she can help him take down Vader together, but she gets angry and ends up cutting down the door as some amazing action sequences come after, where we really see Kenobi's true skills and power as he is truly back. We see him use the Force again again as he sends a massive force push at Reva, sending her flying, and it was so powerful that it even knocked down some of these stormtroopers. A big battle between the troopers, Reva, and the refugees with Kenobi breaks out, where again we see Kenobi's skills as he takes down troopers left and right, but they end up having to fall back to the hangar as they are being overwhelmed, which is where Tala ends up getting shot. And seeing this, the loader droid that has been with her sacrifices itself to protect her, but she chooses to hold them off a bit longer by herself as she shoots the door closed and shuts Kenobi and the rest of the group in the hangar, as she is behind the loader droid's body, and she brings out a thermal detonator and explodes it, buying Kenobi and the group just a little more time. Kenobi seems defeated and hopeless, where we once again cut to the training flashback, where we get more and more nostalgia. Even the choreography in this scene resembles more scenes we have seen in other Star Wars projects, as Anakin is slamming his saber down on Kenobi's with his emotions, which is very similar to how Luke slammed his saber on Vader's in Return of the Jedi. Kenobi gives his stuff to Haja and surrenders to the Empire, as this is part of his plan, where he is brought to Reva and tells her that he is bringing Vader to her and she is not bringing Vader to him. Vader lands on the planet and storms through the hallways, using the Force to open the doors to the hangar so that he can get to Kenobi. When he gets to the hangar, we get one of the coolest Vader scenes ever, as a ship is taking off and we get to finally see just how powerful Vader is with the Force, as he slams the ship back down to the ground and tears it open, only for it to be empty, as another ship, the real ship, takes off behind it too fast for Vader to use the Force on it again. Vader stares off in defeat and in the moment of his own failure, where we get yet another part of the training flashback, where we see Kenobi defeat Anakin in the training match as he takes Anakin's own saber and disarms him, foreshadowing what is about to happen and also resembling how Vader just lost now. Reva walks in behind him and ignites her lightsaber and attempts to strike down Vader in the moment, as her saber is stopped and Vader turns around slowly as she keeps trying to defeat him, as he just toys with her the entire time, using nothing but the Force to push her around, as he then takes her own saber, just like what we saw in the flashback before this where Kenobi takes Anakin's. He splits her saber into two pieces and tosses her the other half as they begin dueling again and again. He toys with her and defeats her very easily in a duel, as we see him dual wielding the saber in a somewhat similar pose to Ahsoka's, but also in a way resembling how he defeated Dooku, which for a second I thought he was about to do the same thing to Reva that he did to Count Dooku in Revenge of the Sith, but instead he stabs her through the chest as it flashes back and forth from Anakin during Order 66 and present day as he stabs her. Vader tells her that he knew this entire time what she was up to, and it seems as if this entire time she was only being used for the Empire's benefit and Vader's benefit. The actual Grand Inquisitor returns and begins to taunt her and tells her that revenge does wonders for the will to live, referencing how both of them survived their endeavors. Vader and the Grand Inquisitor leave Reva just where they found her, back in the gutter. We then see Reva struggling and in pain as she crawls back to her saber and then notices the hologram of Kenobi's that Haja dropped and left behind, where she picks it up and plays back Bail's message, giving her the information that was supposed to be hidden: Luke's existence and Vader's children. Kenobi can feel a disturbance in the Force as he says something is wrong, as he can feel that Reva is learning the one thing that nobody is supposed to know. And the episode ends as we see the Lars farm and then young Luke sleeping. I think that Reva is definitely going to go to Tatooine, and I believe she may be doing this to further attempt to revenge against Vader, as he killed her family, so she will now try to kill his, even though he has no clue that his kids exist as of now. Her finding out the secret and going to Luke will probably lead to Kenobi having to put Reva down once and for all, to protect the secret being held at the Lars farm, to protect Luke Skywalker. This episode was truly a masterpiece, and honestly it was emotional seeing all of these flashbacks. It was like being a kid once again watching the prequels. It was amazing. It did so many things so well. It had me hyped and excited throughout the entire episode, as there were so many cool scenes, whether it was the nostalgic flashbacks to younger Anakin and Kenobi training or the Vader scenes. This episode was just absolutely amazing, and it felt like such an improvement to the series. Even if the series has been good so far, this just felt like a big improvement to it all. I'm so excited for the next episode. Although it being the last episode of the season, it is quite unfortunate, but regardless, it is always great being excited for Star Wars, and it feels great to be a Star Wars fan right now. Next week is the season finale of the show, like I said, and I cannot wait to see how it unfolds. But make sure to let us know what you thought of this episode down in the comments below. With all of that being said, if you are feeling extra nerdy today, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on to help support the channel and to get more nerdy content from us. And if you wish to support us even further, feel free to check out the links in the description. And as I always say, thank you all for watching. We will see you all the next time that we go through and explore the nerdy multiverse.